Greetings, members, one and all of the Salivation Nation. Facebook and Instagram are down, and why it matters to gold and silver stackers. Let's explore. Most of you probably know, especially those on Instagram, there is quite a precious metals community over on Instagram. I have an account there too, but I have been very negligent of it since creating the account. But nonetheless, it is a great way for folks to interact socially and also for business as well. There's a lot of businesses that are taking advantage of Instagram and Facebook, as you know. And so it has a great effect there. Now, I am recording this video and posting it on a very major social media platform that happens to be up and running. And this is essentially a business. And so therefore, it has a great effect on all of us. So how does this relate to gold and silver? Well, I'm going to tell you, but before I do, I want to just remind folks that have become more and more reliant on technology, and myself is very much included on this because, again, this very platform, if it was down, I would not be able to do what I do to be able to share videos with you. And not only that, but the social aspect of these social media platforms, well, it's the first name and what they are, social media. And it has its good and it's got its bad as well. But the one thing it does take up a lot is time and emotions and all sorts of different aspects. Our lives are more and more centered on these applications than ever before. And when we rely on them and they're down for literally hours now, several hours, this is unprecedented. These big networks, and a lot of these social media companies have their own networks, essentially, servers. And what's going on here is that there is a problem with the domain services, from what I understand, with Facebook, and so apparently Facebook, Instagram, and WhatsApp went down at around 11:50 a.m. Eastern Time and remain broken as of the recording of this video. Now, Facebook, who owns Instagram and WhatsApp, won't say what caused the outage or how long it will last. But it will be a mammoth task to bring the networks back online. And so this reminds us on how fragile things really are and how even technology, as robust as the security is and the networks and the redundancies that are involved, well, Facebook is not immune to such situations. Now, it's sparked panic among businesses that rely on the sites. And of course, there is a rival network called Twitter, which is still up. And of course, YouTube and Google is still up as well. But that is something that is a challenge for people that use Facebook and these other social media platforms. And Twitter should not be laughing about this because it could happen to them as well. And I don't know that any executives at Google are laughing about this, or Alphabet, which is a parent company of Google. But nonetheless, it is a big deal, and it has made headlines now as we are well into hours into this situation. And Facebook does not use Cloudflare, but remember seeing the Cloudflare error message that when we try to order from the United States Mint. But technology is what it is, and it's a big problem when we're trying to order things online as well. And so it can be very, very frustrating. But it says that one of the world's largest DNS resolvers, when the sites go down because of failures on DNS systems, Cloudflare tries to repair them. And humans access information online through domain names like Facebook.com, and DNS converts it into numbers called IP addresses and computers use. And this is a big deal, and this is something that probably has to do with the DNS records and the like. There's some other technical aspects of this that were not really being shared with, or not being shared with us as to what's happening. But the directions for how to get the Facebook's DNS server's addresses weren't available and seemed to be unavailable. Without being able to contact the DNS servers, visitors trying to reach Facebook properly, like Facebook.com, will not get an answer, so the page does not load. This is from an associate of an engineer at Cloudflare, which Facebook does not use. So that's a little bit behind, I guess, some of the technical reasons that this could happen. It almost seems unprecedented these days to find some of these social media platforms down because of the redundancies and the like that are in place. Now, how does this relate to gold and silver? Well, and as this social media platform, YouTube, is another one that I'm communicating to you through, is another example of that which we have become reliant upon. And the lesson here for all of us is these metals that you see before you here, gold and silver, come in various different designs and forms. They are uncorruptible in terms of being hacked, in terms of being, accessible. Once you have them in your possession, they are there. Now, they can be stolen from you. It's always good to have security for anything. There's risk in everything. In fact, they hold different types of risks. But essentially, the physical bullion, such as you see here, is something that will not go down. Now the price of it will go down, and we've seen that for sure as of late with gold and silver. But the metal itself will always be there in one form or another. And so therefore, I think holding these metals should, and with what's going on today with Facebook and Instagram, and who knows, there could come a time where Google could go down, or YouTube could go down, or any of its associate facilities, or what have you, and platforms. Platforms can go down, but gold and silver shall remain. Now, the other tie into this is in terms of finances. We all have bank accounts, and most of that stuff is digital. In fact, everybody, I don't care if you just use cash on a day-to-day basis. If you have a bank, there is digital transactions that are occurring. There's a digital record. There's a digital footprint everywhere for you, not only in terms of your identity, even if you've never used a computer before, somebody has on your behalf. And so therefore, in order to operate in society these days, you have to have a digital footprint. And it's just the nature of the world we live in today. But and financially that happens to be the case too. And in terms of cryptocurrencies and Bitcoin, well, it's all about cryptography. It is all about security. And it's also being independent from central banks. It's about not being leveraged by any governments or organizations. It is anonymous, at least to a point and to a level. And so therefore, people feel relatively comfortable with it, especially if they have a hardware wallet where their Bitcoin or cryptocurrency can be stored off-site. But that's only as good as the connectivity in order to redeem said cryptocurrency on a hardware wallet. It does require the computer technology in order to utilize it. And so that is something to be said for cryptocurrencies, is that it does require power and energy in order to redeem the cryptocurrencies. Now, with gold and silver, you need none of that. It is that which exists. It is the metal that is contained in these coins here that you see before you here. They are completely independent. There's no third-party risk. And by the way, a third party is not just human. It is technology as well. And that is the key to having physical gold and silver. Yes, indeed. So I think what's happened today should be a valuable lesson for all of us, and why gold and silver matters especially with Facebook and Instagram going down. And more than likely, some of these Instagram people that are trying to get into their Instagram accounts, well, they might come over here to YouTube to see what's being talked about here. And I think this is something that we should certainly remember today, a day that will essentially live in infamy. Not because it won't be fixed. I'm almost assured that it will be fixed in hours, more than likely. But the fact that it has made headline news, the fact that it was down for any amount of time, means that these social media platforms and digital technology in general, well, it's vulnerable. Gold and silver, they cannot be affected by such technologies in and of themselves. They exist because of what they are and what they have been for millennia. And that should encourage you folks that do stack the physical gold and silver. And that's what this video is for. And for those of you who maybe hold gold and silver in electronic form, this maybe will provide a lesson for you as well, that though there's nothing wrong with holding gold and silver in electronic form, such as ETFs and the like, I think having it in bullion form here is also quite valuable to further protect yourself. And that's what it's about. It's about protection. It's about being able to provide that hedge against not only economic instability, but also technological instability. And we're seeing today, because if you want to buy physical precious metals on trusted accounts on Instagram, or maybe even Facebook, which is, be very careful on both of those platforms for buying precious metals, by the way. Make sure you know the people you're dealing with, that they are trusted. You have one less option, or two less options with Facebook and Instagram now, to be able to buy precious metals, but also in terms of just in general, digital assets overall are only as good as the platforms they are on, whereas gold and silver are not reliant on those. Again, understanding the risks of holding physical is certainly noteworthy for sure, because you are paying a premium in order to have a manufactured piece of bullion in your possession. But I think that premium is worth it, especially with what we see happening today with Facebook and Instagram. So there you have it. Let me know what your thoughts are in the comment section below. Fascinating indeed. A multitude of gratitude to you all for taking the time to watch, and to encourage you to please rate, share, comment, and subscribe.